Hello and welcome to Gundog Nation. This is Kenneth Witt, and I'm coming to you from Texas. I want you to know that Gundog Nation is more than just a podcast. It's a movement to unite those who want us to watch a well-trained dog do what it's bred to do. Also, we are set out to try to encourage youth to get encouraged in the sport of gun dogs, whether it's hunting, competition, trials, hunt tests, all the above. This is a community of people that are united to preserve our heritage of gun dog ownership and also to be better gun dog owners. So if you'll stay tuned to all of our episodes, we're going to have people on here to educate you about training, about nutrition, health, anything can make you a better gun dog owner. It's my pleasure to welcome our listeners, and please join our community. All right, welcome to Gundog Nation. This is Kenneth Witt talking to you today from Texas. I got a new friend today, Mr. Johnny Morgan, who's a pastor at the Live Oak Baptist Church in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
I was encouraged by a mutual friend that we have, that he and I probably a lot alike. I have my hillbilly Eastern Kentucky accent, and you got Louisiana. And they thought we'd be great talking together.
Right.
One thing, Johnny, is I kind of grew up. We have similar backgrounds, at least in our dog experience.
Okay.
I started out beagles, and I used squirrel dogs and stuff, curs. Being in Eastern Kentucky, I didn't really get into coon hunting as much. I had a lot of buddies that did it, and I just had my good friend of mine. Well, son was on here the other day. He was the 2024 world champion UKC coon dog.
Right.
He grew up. That boy grew up a half mile from where I grew up, or less than half a mile.
Right.
My daughter still lives there, but anyway, let's get started. Johnny, I guess let's just start at the beginning. What was your first breed that you hunted with?
I got started with beagles. My earliest memories of my grandfathers was literally picking me up, putting me on a stump to listen to a pack of rabbit dogs run.
Ain't nothing like that sound, is it? It's music.
Oh, no.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so that was from just about, I tell people I was carrying a dog leash at birth, just about, following behind my dad and my grandfathers.
Nice. And then how long did you stay in the beagle business?
I stayed with beagles till probably about 12 years ago. I got out of it completely. Oh, wow. And so, and then go ahead.
I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, Johnny. So I know you obviously hunted beagles. Back then, did you do any trials or anything with beagles?
I did. Yeah. I pleasure hunted, I guess you would say, all the way through high school. I got into competition hunting in high school and out of high school with coonhounds and squirrel dogs. Okay. And then probably in my mid-20s, I got into competition hunting real big with my beagles with the American Rabbit Hunters Association, ARHA, and run a little pack with them for several years and finished several dogs in the grand champions and competed on the national levels with them.
Oh, wow. So what, and Johnny, I won't portray to be an expert in beagles, but I did fool with them quite a while. What was some of the lines that you loved back then when you was some of the bloodlines? There's a Northway. Am I correct? Is Northway was that one of the bloodlines?
It was. It was.
What did you
probably
use?
The bloodline that whenever I was competition hunting a lot, I was fooling with Indian Hills Major. It was a dog. I think he was from up around Kentucky.
Okay.
A lot of our dogs went back to him, Mountaineer Sonny, dogs like that. And then there was a local dog that a good friend of mine had called JT's Live Oak Luke. And most everything I had in competition went back to him because they literally would produce dogs that would jump rabbits in the middle of a parking lot. I mean, they could just evermore hunt. So we got, a lot of my dogs went back to him.
Did you like beagles that like, I forget, I won't say cold trail, but did you prefer beagles that didn't bark until they was on a fresh trail?
I preferred them to be more hot-nosed, and I preferred them to pick their head up and run. A lot of people, we used to run them, they'd almost be like fox dogs. They'd hit it here and keep moving it,
yes.
And not sit there blowing holes in the dirt like you would say.
Nice. And why did you like that? What? So where they could see, where their heads were up and they could see a rabbit if it jumped, or?
No, just so that they was moving the track quicker. I mean, I always liked a faster beagle.
Okay.
That would just move the rabbit. And so.
Johnny, I don't know if you'd ever crossed paths, but I probably one of my buddies from my hometown. I probably learned more about dogs from him than about anybody. Johnny Ray Johnson was a big rabbit hunter in Leslie County, Kentucky, where I'm from, and then over in Knott County, Kentucky, real good a former co-worker of mine, Robbie Noble, but Robbie and them still are active in beagles. And I don't know if they're into competitions and stuff, but
right.
But it was big. I think when I would have been doing it was in the early 2000s, pretty heavy.
Yeah, that's when I quit competition hunting, was in the right around 2000, 2001.
Okay.
And then I went back to just pleasure hunting a little bit, and then eventually just quit fooling with them.
And then if you sound like you like me, so I know how I am. You sound like you went on to your next venture. What was the next breed and type of hunt you got into?
Well, for me, I actually quit dogs for probably 2 years. I didn't have anything, or about a year and a half. I didn't have any dogs. That's whenever I come to my church in 2004 is whenever I come. That's when I went into ministry. Come here, and I'll be honest, dogs to me is like I don't even know, like drugs to an addict. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and so I can't do it a little bit. I'm all in. And so I got out of them for a little bit. And in 2008, we lost a roof to our sanctuary, to our church, to a tornado. We had to meet in the high school gym. And I found on the internet a guy named Hank Huff with Kingdom Dog Ministries from Houston. And his website said duck dogs to present the gospel. And it kind of intrigued me. And I'd never duck hunted. So we got him to come do a presentation for us, and me and Mr. Hank become friends. And in 2013, I bought my first retriever from him, and that's when I started doing ministry with him.
You and I are so much alike, it's scary. Matter of fact, I almost wore that shirt a while ago.
Really?
Is that a poncho?
No, this is a Drake.
Okay. The reason I say that, it wasn't so much about the clothes, but I had never duck hunted either. In Eastern Kentucky, there's no fly. We're in the mountains, so it wasn't a flyaway like Western Kentucky.
Right.
And I didn't really get into retrievers till about 2014.
Okay.
And it wasn't so much duck hunting. I got into antler shed hunting and stuff. Trained them, and then a little later went duck hunting. But so tell me how it's progressed from 2013 to now.
Well, when I got my first dog, she was a 3-year-old chocolate female. She had already had her senior level title with AKC. So I started doing ministry, and I guess I had her for about 6-8 months. I said, well, if I'm going to have a duck dog, I might as well start learning how to duck hunt. So I started duck hunting a little bit. I probably didn't start competition hunting until probably 2015, right around in 2015. I had a young male chocolate dog. So I started going to some HRC tests with them. And just ever since then, I don't get to really go to a lot. I have a little chocolate female now that's 6 years old. She's a hunting retriever champion, master hunter. She's within about 85 points of having her 500 points. But I got a best friend that's a pro trainer, and so he does all the competitions. And so,
who is that?
Trent Thibodeau with Redline Retrievers of Louisiana. He lives right here local.
Don't know him, but I have heard his name. Yeah. So
yeah.
What's the highest level you've taken a dog to try or to test?
The highest I've done is just seasoned.
Yeah.
But my goal with my chocolate female, when she gets to that last 15 points, I'm going to run her. That way I can say I put the 500 points on her.
No, I don't blame you. So when you backing up to 2013, you found this ministry in Houston that had a duck hunting.
Right.
Explain that to me.
Okay.
How was that used in ministry? We use our basic commands, sit, heel, things like that, send them to pick up a bumper. Mm-hmm. And we just mix the gospel in with them, and, what is like, I can make my dogs heel and sit beside me, and I can throw the bumper out there. And I've had as many as 2,500 people chant their name, and they won't move until I call their name. And so what Scripture tell us in Matthew 6, that we can only serve one master. So it's just a really good visual of how we should serve God and how we should be sold out to God. So, we just use like you'd be training a duck hunt or, run a hunt test and just mix different scriptures in with them. So you're doing this in front of your sanctuary or your the people.
Yeah, I travel wherever. Last year I was did about 12,000 miles just doing this ministry. I've been as far east as Georgia. I've been in probably 10 different states total in the last 11 years.
So you're taking the dog. Do you take it in the church?
I'll take it to churches, schools, wherever they want.
And you're using those examples like that. That's why I've never seen this before. This is new to me. So you're using that. You're putting on the dog, kind of let the dog perform.
Correct.
And you're giving commands, and then you're making it relevant to the Bible.
That's it. Yeah. I'll send you a link to it.
That's something else. Okay. I had no idea. Well, you mentioned that when me and you talked, this message back and forth, but I didn't fully grasp what you did.
Yeah, there's actually 3 of us that do it now there's 2 that's full time. Mr. Hank is still doing it. He's up in his 70s now. And then there's a guy named Justin Coffey from Houston, Texas, that has extreme obedience. It's full time. And then I'm part time doing it.
And then you're doing that and you still are a full time pastor at your church?
Still full time pastor.
Oh, wow. You are a busy man.
Yeah. Like last year, I think I did 55 presentations and 12,000 miles and was still full time pastor. So
how do the people receive you when you go and put on this? I know performance is not the best word I can think of, but that's on record. No,
that's a good word. Yeah. It's even people that don't like dogs will get captivated by what they're doing. And so, as you keep it moving fast, and it keeps them engaged and they're hearing the gospel. And then I'll usually share my testimony at the end, or it depends on the group, and wrap it up. And people just respond. I think, I've had my dogs in front of probably over 300,000 people in the last 11 years with over 30,000 salvations that I know of. Sometimes I go into a school and I can present the gospel, but I can't get them to respond. And so I really don't know how many salvations come out of that, but we still plant the seeds, you'd say.
Yes. So you're not only you're saving souls, but you're also maybe winning some people over to hunting dogs.
Oh, without a doubt.
To dogs, yeah.
Right.
Give me some examples of people that's come up to you and not only have been saved, but also was like, hey, I'd like to learn how to train a dog to do that or hunt.
Right. Yeah, there's I could tell all kind of, the stories almost seem wild. I was doing a wild game dinner at a little country church, and I had a 76-year-old man come up to me afterwards, and he said, "Son, can we talk?" And I said, "Sure." And we sat on the tailgate of my truck, and he said, "I've hired every pastor this church has ever had." He said, "I'm chairman of the deacons," but he said, "I never realized tonight that I really wasn't a believer. I've been playing the game my whole life." And so sitting on the tailgate of my truck, he prayed and accepted Christ. And so, and I went back and helped him talk to his family and his pastor and all that. And so, but then, I've had young guys come up and say, "Hey, how do I get into retrievers, or how do I get into the coon dogs like you was talking about, or how can I use my coon dogs to tell people about God, or my rabbit dogs?" And so it's given me a lot of opportunities with young guys to kind of encourage them. This once for a long time, my dogs was an idol to me, I guess you'd say, is because I put them before God, and now they're not. Now I'm using them to bring God glory. So it gives me an opportunity to share with these young guys how they can do the same thing when they're standing around a tree at 11 o'clock at night. They can tell people about Jesus and things like that. So,
Johnny, I've got like I said, you don't know my background much either. And I played years with the Bluegrass Gospel Group.
Okay.
And in Eastern Kentucky, and we played all through the Appalachian area. But, I was the same way. I'd played in these churches, and I didn't get saved until I'd probably been playing for 7 or 8 years.
Right.
I was playing. I was going.
Right.
But, and I guess, and I sit through a lot of altar calls.
Right.
But, and then, everything changed. But and then you talk about the idolship or idol worship. Good friend of mine, pastor named Brad Stevens, he was into my bluegrass group, became a pastor at a young age and still has been, probably over 20 some years. And during that time, he got into hunting real heavy, had YouTube videos. He's funny as he can be, real country. He makes me sound like a New Yorker. And, he had turkey videos. Brad Stevens, it's hilarious. And he got into it. He's so good at it. He's good at hunting. Good deer hunter, good bow hunter, good turkey hunter, good singer, good musician. His wife's just so talented. And he finally was like, you know what, this is getting too big.
Right.
And I get it. We all are guilty of that stuff, right, and putting things before God. But wow, that really puts it to home, though, when you say that.
Yeah.
We get chasing stuff and forget the big picture.
Right.
So I guess so how many labs do you have right now?
I have 4 right now. I've got a 7.5-year-old yellow female that I've kind of retired from ministry. I have a 6-year-old chocolate female that's my primary dog. I got a 2-year-old black female that's with Trent right now, running competitions and training, and I'm going to start working her into presentations. And then I got probably about a 16-week-old black female that I'm training, and I'll have her till she's 6-7 months old, and she'll go to Trent. And then he usually keeps them about 2 years. That's what
I've got 3 16-week-olds I'm training.
Wow.
A handful. Wow. I mean, it's a handful. So for, everybody's not like me and you and fool with the different, completely, really different breeds, but
right,
describe what's the biggest difference you've seen when you first were training and running beagles to labs and bird dogs and all the casting and all the hand signals and all this stuff you're doing with bird dogs.
Right.
Tell me how you adapted to that. Because you and I know it's completely different.
Oh, yeah. It's daylight and dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, beagles or coon hounds, squirrel dogs, all of it's the same. It's all about tracking. And then for them, they either have it or they don't. And so the main thing with my beagles and, coon hounds and stuff was you trained them to handle, whenever you're ready to go to come in and things like that. But, but labs, that's a whole different, when I got my first lab and I didn't know anything, I never legally duck hunted in my life. I'd shoot a wood duck when I was rabbit hunting, but never had a duck stamp,
Yeah, same here.
And so when I got my first dog, it was a learning experience. I was watching YouTube videos and because I never duck hunted, I didn't know retriever people here.
Yeah.
So I slowly started meeting and starting to make some good friends along the way that would say, Johnny, do this, Johnny, do that. But like beagles, you can leave them in a pen and take them out, go dump them out and jump a rabbit and run, and that's all you got to do. With these labs is every day. I mean, I literally work with them I was outside with my puppy at 5:00 this morning before I went to go speak at the sheriff's breakfast working. We just walk around the yard, sit, heel, sit, heel, just trying to get her used to the basics. And so it's an everyday life,
It is, them hounds, you just go out and drop tailgate and let them run,
Right.
So I did that. It didn't take a lot of, like you say, they either do it or they don't. Right. And it's almost that way. I've trained a lot of blood tracking dogs, and it's not rocket science. They either want to do it and it's easy, right, or they don't. It's not a big deal. So, yeah, I'm like you. When I switched into the lab world, and the only difference between you and I probably is I have a lot of time in protection dog stuff, so I learned a lot of that. But still, labs is a different. I think it's the most complex dog training there is. I don't proclaim to be the expert, but from my experience, it's complex and it's very time consuming.
Well, and like I have 4 dogs at the house, and they're like people. They're 4 different personalities.
Yes.
Where one of them I can just say no, and that's it with her. And then another one you might have to nick them with a training collar a little bit to reinforce the no. Yeah. And so they're so different. Each one of them, and you have to adapt your training to that dog.
You do. They learn, like I've got 3 basically the same age, all British lines, 2 imports and pups. And I mean, I'm doing the same training, but I have to adapt it, and they're learning different ways at different speeds, different maturity levels. It's a ever evolving process, isn't it? I think.
Right.
So did you, now you tell me you was doing YouTube videos. Did you take any kind of training seminars? How did you educate yourself other than the videos?
YouTube videos, DVDs, and then lots of phone calls. I'm sure that there was trainers that would cringe when they would see Johnny Morgan pop up on the caller ID because they knew I was going to have some kind of bizarre question on how, what I needed to do to fix my dog.
I still do that to people, and I'm sure they do me the same way. They've seen my number. I know two guys I wore out in already, but yeah, I won't mention their names. But yeah, so one thing I won't get into, because I haven't talked about this on the show much, but I had some tree and squirrel dogs.
Uh-huh.
And I had more luck with, I think because I had this more of a rough, harsh demeanor training dogs because I was fooling with shepherds and stuff and doing shits. And
right.
when I got it, I was wanting to try to do some squirrel dogs. The feist were just too timid for me because I'm kind of loud, and I'm used to these big 80-pound Rottweilers and stuff, and it's just different.
Right.
So for me, and feist are great dogs. I got a buddy from Leslie County that they have their own line of squirrel dogs that they've developed that are basically feist-based bloodlines. But the dog that worked for me because it was more hard was the mountain cur.
Right.
Because they're basically a slim pit bull. I mean, really. I mean, they almost look pit bullish, and they're very gamey, and they're tough, and they can take it, the pressure. But I had a lot of luck with those. What about you? What was your best breed in the squirrel dog stuff?
I fooled with a lot of the mountain curs, the Smith Street bred ones and things like that.
Yes.
And got into Kemmer curs some.
I had one, Kemmer. Yes, sir.
Because we would cross back and forth. We would coon hunt with them and squirrel hunt with them.
Yes.
And so
I trained mine on coons like I do live trapping. I got them treeing coons. I just wasn't a big coon hunter. I mean, at the time, I'd like, but anyway, so yeah, I would dual purpose my cur dogs.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess if feist do that, I don't know that. I really didn't have a lot of experience with feist.
Would.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm like you. A feist was always a little bit more timid. I trained a lot of feist cur crosses for a man. Like he'd bring me 4 puppies and I'd get them all started. I'd pick one and keep one, and he'd take the other 3, and I'd sell the one I kept to make. That's how he paid me.
Yes.
And so, but they was cur feist crosses. And
never seen them. That's a good idea though.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it was just me. My personality. I kind of had that same issue with Brittany's. I had a Brittany I tried, and it was a female and just so soft and timid. And I know every dog's different. And they're not all that way, but I thought, I'm probably not the right mix.
Right.
But definitely the feist wasn't my thing. But yeah, I don't out west here. Now I've been in Texas 12 years. You don't see mountain curs. You don't see feist. You don't even hear them in West Texas. Now, maybe East Texas is different because they got trees and timber and squirrels and close to Louisiana there. Do you see them in Louisiana still? Is it a pretty prevalent breed for squirrel dog?
Yeah, it's a lot of curs and things around still.
And if my history is correct, the mountain cur was actually one of the only breeds truly developed in the Appalachian Mountains.
I think so.
Yeah. And it's neat because I'll tell you some little dog history. That's probably boring for most, but the Texas state dog is a blue Lacey.
Yep.
And what's interesting, the blue Lacey is named after 5 Lacey brothers from Kentucky that moved into the Marble Falls area of Texas. So when Governor Rick Perry was in office as the governor of Texas, they made the blue Lacey the Texas state dog. And when you read the background of the genetics of that dog, this is so funny. It's one of my pet peeves, but it says it's part wolf and part this and that, part greyhound. I actually believe the greyhound's possible, especially because of the color. But I bought a blue Lacey to track out here in Texas. I've had a couple, had some dandies. When I posted that dog on my Facebook, all my buddies in Kentucky was like, man, where'd you get that cur at? I was like, man, that looks just like a mountain cur, doesn't it? I thought so too when I saw it. Because especially my female blue Lacey, the second one I had was only, she couldn't have been, she was under 40 pounds.
Right.
So, some blue Laces get bigger.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said, boys, they can say all they want to on this legislative stuff about the Texas state dog, but that dog has got original mountain cur in it because them guys came from Kentucky, and that was a very prevalent breed at that time when they came. And you can look at it and tell it. And you know what? The blue lacy are gamey, like they'll fight a circle saw, you know, and the mountain curs, you know that they're like that too. They're athletic, they're muscular, but that's just my 2 cents on the blue lacy in Texas. It's a definitely, if they can do that embark on it now. I guarantee you, if they embark, swab that dog, it's got mountain cur in it.
Yeah.
But that's a neat breed. The blue lacy is a neat breed. It's kind of an all-purpose dog. And the good thing, I don't know if it's the same now, but, you know, forever, those dogs have lived a long time with no health problems because I guess just ranchers, you know, back then, they were a ranch dog. Right. You know how people back then, if you had a dog that didn't cut it, they'd kill it, you know.
Right.
So, or if it got sick, they didn't go to the vet, you know. So I think it evolved a very healthy breed just by process of elimination. Right. You know, I guess. Right. But they're a neat breed. But they're very aggressive. Right. I mean, like the vet here, I've got a ranch in near Menard, Texas. And, you know, I know she doesn't really like it when blue laces come in because, you know, some of them are pretty wicked. But anyway, yeah, that's I digress. But we're both dog nerds. I figured you might like that. Yeah. And then I've also had out here at the ranch, I had a Louisiana dog, a Catahoula. Really? Yeah, it's the only Catahoula I ever owned. Loved the dog. He was a monster. He was 85 pounds. I never seen a dog that big ever. And that was just natural. He wasn't overweight. Right. But he was my tracking dog here. And then he started trying to kill my deer. I've got a high fence ranch. Right. So he started trying to kill axis deer. So I placed him with a buddy of mine that had a big cattle ranch out in Alpine. Yeah. But I love that breed too. Yeah. They're gamey dogs too. Yeah, gamey. Yeah, man. They similar to mountain cur in that respect. Similar to blue. I had the blue lacy. She was here when I had my Catahoula. Did you fool with them ever, the Catahoulas, much? I never had Catahoula. We had leopard curs, which is real close. Yes. The leopard curs would tree a little bit more, what they call it's a Catahoula, just more bred to tree dog. Okay. Than running. You have to educate me here. Does Catahoulas, are they ever used in coon hunting or anything? They're just not a tree dog. Most of them's for more stock, but I think there's people that have used them, yes, for tree dogs and things. Now, and like I said, I don't have a huge knowledge of Catahoulas, but I'm going to tell you, I got to tell you what my dog would do. So this big, beautiful dog I had, Boone, and he come out of Louisiana. I got him to track game. And, you know, I've always wanted one, right? You know, so I would put him in the back of the side-by-side here at the ranch. And, you know, well, here's how it started. So my neighbor had shot a deer and they couldn't find it. And he called and asked me to come over with my tracking dog. Right. And so I went over at the time. I said, man, all I've got today is my Catahoula, and he's only like 10 months. But he's been exposed. I worked with him some, but he's surely not, you know, ready. Right. We go over there, and they show me where he had been. The animal had been shot as an axis deer, and so we, you know, I got him down and looked at the blood, and he tracked it for a little bit, and there was nothing. There wasn't hardly any blood at all. What it was a gut shot. So hardly any blood. Right. I put him back in the side-by-side, and I went in the direction, you know, I thought the thing was, there was no blood trail. We just lost the blood. And here's how he would track. I could get him in the side-by-side. He'd be in the back, and he would wind and smell whatever it was that had been shot. Right. He would bark one time real loud. And when he did that, I'd let him out, and he'd go straight to it. And that's how he tracked animals here. He did that every single time. It was amazing. That's interesting. Never tracked on the ground, ever. I'd just keep him in the back of the side-by-side, and then he barked. When he barked, I let him out. And he found I don't know how many shot game here. Huh. So, interesting. Well, I would prefer the riding side-by-side, too, if I had to pick. Yeah, that's right. I mean, he ain't got his nose in this cactus and all this rough stuff out here, you know. And I guess he outsmarted me. Right. He's like, you just drive me around. Right. I'll get out when I feel like it, you know. But no, it's just neat. I like I said, I'm a dog nerd, and that's why I do this podcast. And I learned so much from people like you. I can never learn enough.
Right.
And one thing I know, training dogs myself, is I sure ain't a know-it-all.
Right.
You get humbled daily when you work with dogs.
Oh yeah, all the time.
So with your schedule, it sounds like you was up this morning training. How many days a week do you try to work with your dogs?
I try to work with them every day at the house, and I try to take off, at least once a week. I fail a lot and go train with my friend, that's a pro trainer, and we'll throw ducks and things. And so, but I'll do a lot of yard training at the house and things. Or my church, we actually have a little bit of property behind us, and we have a pond, so I can bring my trailer up here. I have a dog trailer with all my equipment in it. I'll bring it up here and train early in the morning, and then work, and then bring them back home at lunchtime or something.
I assume in that area where you live, y'all probably have quite a few retriever clubs, don't you, in the area?
There's several retriever clubs in our area.
Yeah. I know that part of Louisiana, that's southeast Texas, man, there's they're good retriever clubs all around. Right.
Yeah.
That sure is helpful. That's helped me a lot.
Right.
You got any duck hunts planned this year?
I'm in at least about an hour from me in Port Barry, and I'm hoping I still got about 3 weeks vacation I got to burn before the end of the year, so I'm hoping to take some days off and make some hunts.
Now, have you ever tried upland hunting?
I haven't. As a matter of fact, me and Trent was just talking. There's some upland tests in February about trying to hit a couple of those just to get the title and just to say we done it.
That's my goal too this year. I'm going to try 2 of my dogs in an upland test.
Right.
I tell you what, John, if you ever want to, and he's on my first podcast, Scott Neighbor up South Dakota.
Yep.
I've hunted up there. This will be my 3rd year, and he's excellent. It's wild birds.
Right.
And, there's lots of places to go, but I really enjoyed it. It's very affordable, and I've never been disappointed. We hunt 3 days. We tag out each day. We get our limit each day, and I just like it. I honestly prefer it over waterfowl.
Really?
Because you can walk around and you don't have to be quiet. And
right.
Stay covered up, and you just watching those dogs work, and it's pretty fun.
And I like to watch the dogs work. When I was young, it was all about the numbers. How many rabbits, how many squirrels can I kill? And now it's just about watching the dogs work. And I think, if I kill it, I got to clean it.
Yeah. That's, I deer hunted real heavy for years. And I always, when I got older, I thought, you know what? The fun's over when it's down.
Right.
Then it's work.
That's it.
But, well, yeah, I have to. If you ever decide to upland hunt, holler at me. I'm trying to do. I'd like to do more of that. But have you ever sandhill crane hunted?
I have not.
That's pretty fun too.
Yep, I've heard that.
Now there's good places, but my house is in Midland, so I'm only hour and a half, 40 minutes from Lubbock. And,
okay.
So Lubbock's it's a really good place to sandhill crane. Yeah, there's a lot of outfitters up there in that whole area. But that's some good eating too, if you've not tried.
That's what I've heard.
Yes, sir. They call it the ribeye of the sky.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, if you ever do that, holler at me too. But well, what would you like to tell our listeners? How can they tell us about where they can find your church website when you have service?
All right.
And tell them if I don't know, Johnny, I don't want to speak for you, but if you are open to go to other churches, if we got people listening, they want you to come, how will they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can either go to my website, obedience2death.com, and it's the number 2. So it's obedience2death.com. You can find me there, or my phone number, 225-278-4772. And I'd love to travel. Would love to go to other churches. My church is championed this ministry like its own. And so whenever I go do things like that, they're praying for me here, and they want me to go and, and present the gospel. And so they think it's just as part of our church. And so, but our church services, we do an 8:00 and a 10:30 service here. And you can find us online. We're on Facebook and YouTube, and it's Live Oak Baptist Church. And so yeah, I know that the internet's changed, COVID, we was ahead of COVID a little bit when we went online with our services, but now we have people I hear from people all over the United States say, hey, we found your service, when they watch. And so, it's really, the path of our church is really, footprint of our church is expanded because of online now.
That's a change that COVID caused. It's been for the best, right? Right. Just like you, it's got your ministry in homes that may have never, ever found you.
Yeah.
Well, if I come through Louisiana on the weekend, I'll have to come check you out.
You can come here, and I know some good places to eat.
I am probably better at eating than anything.
That's my spiritual gift.
Yeah. Lord, I'm a foodie, big time. Actually, when I travel, I'm Googling the best places to eat. I don't even want chains. I want privately owned, mom and pop.
That's the way I am.
Yeah. But I tell you what, though, I will say when I drive to Louisiana, man, I get to eat good. I'm always researching.
Right.
If you like to eat, that's one state to travel.
That's it. For sure.
Well, Johnny, it was a pleasure getting to meet you face to face on video.
Right.
But we'll try to meet in person.
Okay.
We have to shout out to Kelly Curry because he's one that introduced us together, and he's a fine person, and he's given me so much feedback for my show and helped me because I'm new at this. I'm surely ain't an expert. I'm no Joe Rogan or whatever you want to call it, and I just enjoy it. And I'm just me, and I don't ever script.
Right.
I just shoot in the hip and talk, And so anyway, but no, he's been an excellent source of feedback and supporting me, emotional support. But good guy. He's a great guy.
Kelly's been a good friend, a big supporter of my ministry, and he watches our church services every week. And so Kelly's a good guy.
And I'm sorry, y'all forgive me. I've had allergies like crazy, but about to kill me. But I want Kelly on the podcast, but he knows so much about so many subjects in depth that I don't know where to begin. I'll have to narrow it down or maybe do a series.
That's right. You'll have to do 4 or 5 episodes.
But he's a very intelligent man, and he's very humble.
Yeah.
But I'll ask him a question about something, and he'll tell me a dissertation. And I want to take notes while he's talking to me. I was like, wow, this is good. And he's even about my show. He actually called me Saturday. He calls me on Saturdays. I think that's his day. And I've got a notebook over here on the table. I was writing down what he was telling me. He's that smart. But anyway, well, Johnny, it was a pleasure meeting you. I wish your ministry the best. And my youngest daughter's real big at the church back in Kentucky, and I'll get her to pray for you all too for your ministry.
Okay.
And
I appreciate it
too. Yep. Thank you so much. All right. You have a good one.
You too. Thank you.